Hey, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be reacting to Andrew Wilson versus radical feminists. What are women's duties in society? Let's hop right into it. No time to waste. You know how I be. Let's go.
I'll start caveating questions with under your version of feminism. Is this true? Because otherwise I don't know. Mm-hmm. Do you, under your view then, this argument may be moot. Do you think that women ought to have some duties to society?
Some duties in, like, under my worldview, yeah. I think that women should do things that are good for society per my values.
What?
Yeah, I think women should vote.
They should?
Yeah.
Or they should have the right to vote?
Well, I think both things can be true.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm just asking, should they actually go vote? Do you think they should go do that?
Yeah, I think that women, oh my God.
Like, do they have a duty to do that?
That noise is so loud. Do they have a duty to that? Would I prefer them to?
Yeah, I'm recording.
I would prefer them to go.
You know I'm pausing to talk to you. Yeah, I'm recording. Nah.
I'm good.
You want to hear what he's saying?
There's just a little bit too much going on here. So.
A little bit too much going on here? Okay.
You can put it on if whatever I hear, I hear.
Okay, yeah. All right, okay.
Vote.
So they have a duty to vote.
I know you're going to have something to say about this, though. I know you will. I know you will. If you hear it.
Should there be any consequences if they don't vote?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, so there's no enforcement of any duty there.
No legal consequence, no.
Okay, so then I guess what duty should women have where there's an enforcement behind it?
Yeah.
Like, you don't do this duty, there's a consequence.
Yeah, the same types of ones that men have. So if you have a child and you, like, don't take care of it, you leave it malnourished, I think that you have a legal...
I know you guys don't like that I say this, but what he's implying, like, he's trying so hard to imply that women are useless. That's what he's trying to imply. Like, y'all don't understand that that's the argument that he's making, and that's a ridiculous argument because society is building on competence. And I just got done watching a video where it said 40% of women in America are making more than the majority of men in America. So, like, think about it. Like, 40% of women are making more in America. And every society that we've ever been in, where the society is an autocracy, I'm trying to think of the word, a theocracy, whereas men dominate the society technologically doesn't advance until we add women into it. So you can go back to, like, the Muslim societies, all kind of things like that. Every little theory that he's trying to make is trying to make it seem like women are useless because they don't have physical strength. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous. Especially we're going into a time of AI where physical strength is becoming obsolete. And all a woman got to get is a blick, pop, pop, and you gone. Like, you know what I'm saying? Physical strength is irrelevant if you got that. So, like, his points are just, I'm telling y'all, I don't dislike Andrew Wilson. I think he's very smart. I think he's an intelligent man. I think me and him would have a good debate. But I do think, like his premise is underlying trying to say that women are useless. And I think that's ridiculous. And I think that's a horrible metric to determine how you judge anything in society or any person in society or any, just person. I guess I'll just say personhood, but let's go.
Legal duty to do that. You should be punished in the same way that a man should be.
Okay.
So that's one example.
Okay, so they have some ethical duties. What about societal duties?
Well, that would be a technical societal duties. Maybe I'm not clear what you're looking for.
Oh, I'm just looking for, like, jury duty's a duty, literally, right? As his name implies, that's like a civic duty or a social duty.
They might have a legal duty to do that. Now, do they have, like, a moral duty? Are they doing something, like,
correct,
bad
right?
to me?
That's what I'm looking at.
I'm like,
is there a distinction there between the ethical and the civic duties? So I'm just asking, what duties do you think women socially should have in society?
Legally or ethically?
Legally, or, well, both, actually.
Well, those are going to be two different answers, right? Like,
well, let's start with legally then.
Okay, sure, yeah. I mean, they could be things.
What legally, like, guys, like, just pick it up here. What legally and socially should women have to do in society? Same as men. What, he's I get it, y'all. I know y'all like this red pill content, but, like, the red pill content kind of is the reason for the feminist movement. Like, it's the reason the feminist movement should still exist. If y'all hate feminism, then, like, we gotta scrap red pill, because red pill is ridiculous. He's trying to argue women being useless. That's his point. Like, that's his premise. That's a dumb premise. You can find in every metric of society, when women go in and add their value to it, society grows with value. Like, what is he talking about? Why are we talking all these hypotheticals and like wonder situations and stuff like that? First of all, the majority of men will never agree that women shouldn't have rights. It will never happen like that. 50% of men will definitely always agree and fight for women to have the same rights as they will. Now that we reached that point in society, we're not going back to traditional roles in 1970. Sorry, guys. And I don't care if y'all hate me in the comments for saying this. I'm just being real. Like, we're not going back to the 1970s. We're not. The Bible it's still relevant, but it's not relevant. We're not going back to biblical families. Like, we're going past that. We're evolving as a society. So I don't understand his point. Like, off the rip, I don't get it, and I kind of am bored with it. Off the rip, like, but let's keep going. Maybe I could be wrong about what he's saying. I can admit that. Something y'all can't admit in the comments. I can admit that.
It's like legally, I think people should be held to go to jury duty. Legally, I think that people should be, prosecuted for crimes. I think they have duty not to commit crimes against other people, and that's both an ethical and a legal one. Mm-hmm. But the ones that apply to men generally too. So I'm not sure what this question is getting at.
Right.
Do men have a duty to protect women?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
I think people have a duty to protect other people when they can.
Yes.
Do women have a duty to protect men?
Yes.
Yeah, when they can.
When they can, as they can. Okay.
Of course.
And this makes society good, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
better.
I think people protecting people, it makes a society good.
Okay. Do women have a duty to not be promiscuous?
To not be promiscuous?
If they so see where he's going with it, y'all? If they so choose not to be promiscuous, then they can choose not to be promiscuous. If they choose to be promiscuous, they can be. If it's not hurting anybody, what the hell does it? You know what? Huh?
Just give me that. What?
I figured it would, but hold on. Let me make this point, okay? Okay. Let me let him keep going, and then I'm gonna go from there, because bringing up promiscuity is just a weird conversation to have with the feminists. First things first. But it's I don't know, man. Y'all say like these radical red pill dudes be destroying them, but I'll be like, nah. It'd be like the women that be having more logical arguments, and they be doing straw man fallacies. Like he don't went far off from rights, right? Because I guess his point is women shouldn't have rights in society, or whatever his point is. I don't know if that's his point, but it sounds like it. And women only can get rights because of men. Hey, like, never mind. I ain't gonna say none of that. But like, I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna just see what else he say. Like, cause it's interesting. I like this conversation. I do.
What do you mean by promiscuous?
Have sex with lots of different partners.
See.
That I'm not sure of. I don't know if people would probably say no.
I'm asking you.
I'm not sure. The answer was I'm not sure.
You're not sure if they have that duty?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they have a duty to society to not, sleep with multiple partners.
Do they have a duty not to do sex work?
That one would hinge on some empirical facts, like maybe if it caused like a lot of negative outcomes or something like that, and maybe like the benefits didn't override those negative outcomes. That might be one reason why I would say like, okay, well, they do have a duty not to do sex work.
Okay, hold on. Before she goes on, I want to let everybody know that who pays for the sex work and who's buying OnlyFans. Who's buying these girls stuff like that? So if he's implying that women shouldn't be doing that, maybe men shouldn't be buying it. If there wasn't a need for something in the market, it wouldn't exist. Smex work, first of all, we got to be careful with the words. Smex work is the highest, it's one of the most profitable things in media. And who are people mostly paying for it? Men. So I wish she would have threw that argument back at him. Like, well, wait a minute. Like, what about men buy it? Like, so, like, if women, it's a good thing for some lonely men. You'd be home alone, Like, it's a good thing for that. Y'all gonna hate me in the comments. Y'all gonna. But y'all can't say nothing. Oh, I'm gonna sing that song. There may be bugs on some of you mugs, but there ain't no bugs on me. Y'all see this tattoo? That's a lion. That's a lion. And anyway, I'm just playing. Let's keep going.
Do they have a duty to stay with their husband even against their own happiness for the sake of their children?
I would probably say no in a lot of cases.
Get to your point,
Why not?
man.
Because I think that infringes on people pretty severely when you're in a scenario like that. There could be some negative outcomes for kids. Once again, that would be an empirical claim. That, like,
Right.
The answer to that would hinge on some empirical facts.
So if I were to give you empirical facts, and of course, during this little 2-hour debate, it's going to be impossible for you to go through any empirical data I would give you in a very, wide overview, right? But if you were given facts then that if women did stay with their husbands, even if they like maybe fell out of love with them, they didn't really like him that much anymore, right? Or they really just didn't want to participate in the marriage, but they had children with him, right? And we saw the outcomes for children were way better if they stayed, even if it was at the expense of their happiness. Would you then advise women to stay?
No.
That depends on how much of a toll on their happiness it would take. I think falling out of love with somebody...
No, they don't have to. Like, okay, first of all, okay, I'm not trying to keep throwing men under the bus. I am a man. I understand that. But I hear the statistics, right? Statistically speaking, women stay in the children's life after the whole situation is all said and done, right? It's the men that end up leaving. 4 or 5 years down the line, the men end up disappearing from the children's lives. So why are the children truly unhappy? You know, if you're going to put blame on the mother for walking away, you got to kind of put blame on the father also for walking away, because the father doesn't necessarily have to walk away. He can stay in the child's life. According to the video we just watched, it was 3 out of 10 men that actually stay around their children after a relationship is broken apart. That's not on the woman. The woman can't make that decision for them. That's on the man. You know, like now, with something we need to work on. But you can't blame the woman. You can't blame women fully for that, man. I don't know. You making dumb points. I get it. Y'all want to trap women forever in situations, but society is evolving, man. You know, like it sucks, but society is evolving. You can't just, you can't just force a woman to stay in a relationship she's not happy with anymore. Women are getting smarter than that. And women are actually, in some situations, from what I'm understanding, income from men, from the video we just watched, income from men has dropped 30%. So from the 1970s, men were making like at least $1,000 compared to those $790 that they're making now. So the money has dropped for men. It's increased for women. We're going towards a different kind of society, man. It's no longer a patriarchal society, man. I'm sorry. Sorry, y'all. Jump in the comments and jump me on it if you want to.
It takes a big toll on their happiness.
I'm not sure that that's something I can give you an answer to, whether or not they have like some ethical duty to do. It's probably going to be a case-by-case thing. Like, I would have to look at, okay, well, how miserable is this person staying with this person, and how much of a benefit is it going to give their kids? And do they have access to the knowledge of how much benefit it'll give their kids to stay?
So you don't know if they...
I think in the general cases, they don't have an obligation to stay, because I think the type of things that lead to divorce are pretty severe, and in a lot of cases...
It's usually irreconcilable differences, not severe.
I'm sorry?
No, the number one reason for divorce is infidelity, and the number 2 reason is finances. It's not irreconcilable differences. Well, actually, technically, you consider that irreconcilable differences. Would you stay with somebody that cheated on you? Let's put this in reverse. Would you stay with somebody that cheated on you? If they got a lot of money, maybe. Yeah, I'm just playing. I'm joking. Kind of.
Like, I don't think it's severe usually, actually. I think the things that lead to divorce or irreconcilable differences are not abuse, and it's not even money usually. It's just...
Yeah, you said you think, man. You should know. You're smart. You should know. The number 1 reason is infidelity. The second reason is finances. Irreconcilable differences almost, I think it's like 4th or 5th down the list of the reasons why people split up. Just saying.
Falling out of love. I just don't like this person, or I don't like their habits anymore, or things like this. But
well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure falling out of love is always reconcilable. In fact, that sounds kind of
not
miserable
asking
to try to force yourself to love someone.
Not asking it to reconcile and fall back in love, but whether or not they have a duty to stay with their husband for their children, for the sake of their children.
They don't,
because their children get far more desirable outcomes if they do.
Right, but I think that there's probably something like empirically there, like there's probably a lot of distress that it causes somebody to stay with somebody that they don't love and to not pursue somebody that they would in fact love.
I agree, it causes them distress. That's right. What duty does, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes
so
you have
I'm just making an
estimate.
estimate. Yeah. I'm just making an estimate that no, they probably wouldn't have an obligation to do that.
Yeah, you've dove into the stats then, so you know probably that when it comes to abuse of children inside of the home of single mothers, are you aware of where that usually comes from?
Where the abuse from single mothers comes from?
For the children.
Sorry, I'm not sure what the
children in single mother homes, the abuse rates that happen to them, do you know where that usually comes from?
You might just have to give the answer. I'm not sure what you're asking.
So here, easy. Kid gets abused inside single mom home. Who usually abuses them?
I would assume the parent. Or other siblings.
No, it's usually, see, in these cases, it's most often step-parents.
Oh, he told the truth. So it's men. In most scenarios of abuse, like me and Mama Bear looked this up the other day, and it blew my mind, right? In most scenarios of abuse, it's mostly men. Like the point he just made with children, yeah. And so sexual abuse, physical abuse is mostly men. Women fall under the guise of neglect, and I actually looked this up later when me and her got off the phone. So under neglect, like there's terms and conditions that consider neglect. Neglect can be considered a mom not having enough money to be able to like do something for her child, like put enough food in the household. A social worker could come by and see 4 children in the household and think it's a 1-bedroom household. This is neglect. You ain't got a 4-bedroom household for each child. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they can consider all these things neglect. The fact that a woman like might not have enough money to cover like certain expenses because they live somewhere in poverty or she doesn't have a good enough job to be able to take care of those responsibilities. That can be considered neglect, but overall, it's always men. But he just admitted it. I give him the credit, though. He said stepfathers are mostly the ones that end up abusing the children. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Shouldn't there be father figures in these children's lives? What's up with these men? You know what I'm saying? Like, Andrew... never mind. I ain't gonna go that far, but let's keep going.
In single mother homes.
Okay.
Right? Puts them far more prone for abuse and for all sorts of different things. Now, this is...
I got a different question. How about everybody look up the statistics of how many single father homes the children are abused in? Just curious, like how many single father homes the children are abused in. He pointed out single mother households, right? Let's talk about single father households. You know the statistics are probably going to be a lot higher. You know, if we set those statistics next to single mother households and then single father households, what children get abused more, you might see a slight increase on something there. And I'm not even a feminist. I just know the stats. I know the data. Like, I can't stand when people argue bad faith arguments. And the problem with her is she doesn't know the arguments. Because you could fire back arguments back in his face that he's trying to throw at her. He's throwing red herrings.
To say that step-parents are bad, because they're not, right? There's tons of great step-parents out there. Nobody's making that claim. Only that if you are with your biological partner, right, or the parent, the biological parent of the children, that the rates of abuse drastically decrease inside those homes for those children, period. Even if the parents stay and they're out of love with each other, they don't even really like each other. You see this often in religious marriages, religious institutions, where they'll stay on behalf of the children. The children's outcomes are, generally speaking, far and away better. And I want you guys to know this, too. There's another point of the abuse that's interesting. Like, he's a Christian, right? Abusive households mostly happen in Christian households and religious households. Just putting it out there. Most abusive children comes from religious households. Just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. And we're keeping in mind, he's a Christian. So, not saying all Christians are bad. I'm just saying most abuse, men abusing children, happens in Christian households and Muslim households. That's the stats. That's the data. Really?
Yeah, so the problem there is I think there would probably be a data collection problem there. When you have people who are remarried, it's probably easier for kids to report that a step-parent is committing abuse versus a biological parent. A child might be more trusting of their biological parents, especially if they're still together. There might be covering up of abuse that's occurring, so that I might have some issues with like gathering that data and actually coming to like a conclusion there. But I would say that
So would something like multiple meta-analyses on that data do something to assuage your doubts?
Meta-analyses on the data that says that
step-parents are more prone to abuse than the biological father.
Sure, I mean that's fine, but once again, I would need to see that data. I'd have to go through it, see what kind of methodological problems exist there, because I would suspect that the abuse would go a lot less reported, because that's something that you can't account for. If a kid's not going to report it, a kid's not going to report it.
Yeah, that's true.
But you can make an inference and say like, okay, well, kids are typically more trusting. Kids come out years later and say, hey, my biological parents abused me and I never told anybody. And, you know, sometimes they don't even tell teachers.
Well, I mean, a lot of these studies they're going over multiple decades, right? And so is the meta-analysis.
Sure, that doesn't get rid of the problem.
It gets rid of some of those problems, but doesn't get rid of all of them, I agree.
Not the data collection, not the issue. It doesn't make that type of problem go away.
Which type of problem specifically?
The problem of abuse being covered up or children being more trusting
Yeah,
of biological parents.
So that could be the case. I was just talking when you were saying like children could come out later and to discuss abuse rates or something like that. It's like, yeah, that's true, but one way that you could compensate for that is to have longevity in your study, following these same people, and then getting back with them 20 years later or whatever, so that you could make these determinations. So that would be one way that you could compensate.
Sure,
for that.
and it might still not fully compensate for it though if that person still is more trusting of their biological parent.
Yeah,
so it doesn't fully get rid of that.
I don't
issue.
disagree. I was just saying that here there is some things that you could do, but I agree, right? But I would say that a meta-analysis, multiple meta-analysis, that would at least be something you'd look at.
And I want to make it clear, the claim that I'm disputing isn't necessarily that step-parents don't abuse their children more than biological parents do. That could be very well true. But what I'm saying is, when we do have an issue finding that out, we have an issue of children trusting their biological parents more. But we also have the issue of sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm really thirsty. That might be a good time for a break, but we do have that methodological issue. Over time, it doesn't really get rid of it, though, if children still trust their biological parents more. And it could be the case parents are covering it up for the other parent, whereas they wouldn't cover it up for a new spouse or something like that. Or they might cover it up to keep the family together. That could also be a case that I would say would cause a lot of issues collecting that type of data.
Okay.
And those reasons the abuse might still not outweigh the type of harm done to the person staying with the person they don't want to be with.
All right.
Yep, anyways, yeah, y'all gonna be mad at that video, don't care, just put it out there for what it is. Yeah, I think that dude hates women. Shit, I'll let it run, y'all. Hey, peace.